Okay, so this is part 2. We're discussing, in the previous video, we discussed the specific details of the structure of a seated practice, of a seated meditation practice. In Taoism, not as a religion or even as a philosophy, but in the practical application of internal alchemy, the seated practice is really is a fundamental part of the practice. As we advance in our development, as we develop stamina in maintaining and working with fluid energy, fluid movement in the body, we start to stand up. We start to do more of a standing practice, working with energy flow from the earth all the way up through the whole system and back down. But before we do that, before we get to a standing practice, which requires more stamina, we work on the seated practice. We don't want the legs to be overactive. It requires a different level. It requires a more advanced level to stay rooted and grounded in the dantian, in the breath, when we're standing and exerting some effort to stand, to flow, to maintain balance. So before we get to the point where we're standing, just like with children or babies, first thing we're learning to do is we're learning to crawl, right? Crawling in this instance, for this metaphor, is the seated practice. Okay, so we have a nice straight posture. We checked our belly pulls in, pelvis tips back. You'll notice if you're a male, the pelvis tipping back slightly, posterior tilt is going to allow the genitals you'll feel the genitals almost lifting up in towards the abdominal space. Chin drops, pull the chin into the neck, skull, back of the skull, the occiput, the base of the skull, back of the head, and crown, lift up to the sky. Now we have a nice long spine. From here, the first minute, the first 2 minutes, for some, the first 5 minutes, as you begin to develop this practice, those first few minutes are going to be really focused on connecting with the breath and staying with the breath, okay? This will be kind of like working with somebody, or working with, say, a master, okay? Your breath is a master. Your breath truly is a master. Even if you have all kinds of weird, whacked out breathing patterns, you're breathing high in your chest, the breath is intelligent, is very wise, and it's going to the places in the body that require the resource, right? For us to hold tension in the body, or for us to hold the stored inertia, or for us to hold the stored trauma in the body, the breath has to go to these places to continuously feed the resources. But over time, as we age and we continue to hold on to those patterns in the body, those resources begin to tire out. You know, it's like extracting from the earth non-renewable resource, right? Eventually, the body's going to it's going to get worn, it's going to get tired from holding on so tightly. So in this position, tuning into the breath, the mind is going to wander, and that's okay, okay? If the mind wants to wander off into some distant forest, great, fine, whatever. If you want to go off and see that, that's fine. But we want to keep coming back to the sensation. This is critical and almost never taught in modern meditation practice. We're coming back to the breath. That's it. The thoughts, the musings, the wanderings, those are illusions as far as we're concerned. It's almost like a mirage or a hallucination. Okay, the only thing that's real is what's happening in the low abdomen, in the chest, with the breath. Okay, so as you're practicing, we're just soft. We're softening. And I say these things like it's going to come natural, and it isn't. It isn't. This is the part that requires work. You hear me talk about effort versus non-effort. And we're moving in these early stages of our practice. We're moving back and forth between what it feels like to exert effort, the effort being required to come back to stay connected with the breath. The non-effort is releasing ourselves from the need to control, the need for things to be a certain way, specifically in relationship to the breath. What does it feel like to observe the breath? If you don't do anything, if you take away all effort, your body will still breathe. So, who is doing the breathing? And this is an important curiosity to hold as you are breathing, as you are sitting, as you're feeling into the spaces of your body. Who is breathing, right? We want to hold these kind of questions with curiosity because they'll illuminate more of what is happening inside of us. They'll illuminate these relationships. Again, if the breath is a wise counselor or a master, and we are the student, sometimes what's taking place, sometimes where the breath wants to take us, is going to feel advanced, it's going to feel high level. It's going to feel like, whoa, can you please explain that again? And your breath will explain it again and again and again. What we want to be aware of is that part of us that gets tired, maybe, or frustrated, right? I don't understand. And because I don't understand, I'm going to go somewhere else, okay? Disembodiment, disconnection, distraction, right? Dis. And we keep coming back to being witness to and with what's taking place, right? So when I'm working with my clients, sometimes the metaphor that I like to use is the body. When you first meet the body and you first meet the breath, it's like being in a block of ice, straight up Avatar style, right? The boy in the bubble, the boy in the iceberg, okay, is frozen solid. For some of us, that's what it feels like. For me, that's what it felt like, frozen solid. The only thing that's going to thaw this frozen sense of physicality, the strength, that hardness, the only thing that will thaw it is warmth. And that warmth is coming from the mind, is coming from awareness of breath. No matter what, no matter how frozen your body is, breath is still coming in and out of the body. Otherwise, you would be dead, right? So this is, again, a curiosity. Where is my breath? I can ask this wise being, this master, this intelligence inside of my system at any level, where is my breath? Ah, there it is. And I feel it. Now, in the beginning, if we're being honest and truthful here, in the beginning, there's going to be a psychological component of trying to grab it and hold on to it. We're going to find it and it's going to get tight again. We're going to find it, it's going to get stuck. That's okay. That's okay. Trust in the process that you will exhale again. And then you will inhale again. And as you do so, this wise teacher, this wise counselor, the breath, is going to illuminate parts of the body that are tense, that are tight, that are being held onto, stories and patterns, okay? Some of it will be frightening. Some of it will be terrifying. There's no easy way to get through that. And if there was an easy way, this would be it. Sitting, breathing, staying with it, okay? A lot of you are going to have questions. I am so excited to answer them for you, but I want you to remember that this intelligence has the answers, okay? Adam Bear is here to point you back at yourself, to point you towards your own breath. As that wise counselor, you came into this life and were given this breath, and you still are given this breath moment after moment after moment throughout the entirety of your life. So we need to listen to it. We need to start paying attention to it. We need to bring the light, the spotlight of our awareness, into those spaces that are frozen. And the breath is going to do it, and it's going to do it gently for us. There is no other person that you will come into contact who will be more gentle with you than your own breath. Please comment. Please ask questions. Please reach out. This is the seated practice. This is the foundational practice of Taoist internal alchemy. We cannot go beyond. We cannot begin to work into advanced practices. We cannot begin to refine the chi flow of the body, move energy in the body, release stored blockages, release stored trauma, inertia in the body, until we have connected with the breath and we know where it is. All right? Thank you so much.